जी हाँ दोस्तों, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं दानिश महाजन आपका स्वागत करता हूँ प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में। बदलता दौर में आज हम एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट इशू पर बात करने जा रहे हैं और हमारे साथ आज भी एक वर्दी पैनल है एज यूजुअल। और हम डिस्कस करेंगे। बहुत सारे लोग जानते हैं कि आज का जो टॉपिक है वो क्या है। हाउ टू डील विद द एनिमल्स एंड स्ट्रे डॉग्स, especially a lot of visually impaired faces problem with the from these stray dogs, and a lot of different campaigns are also going on in India. A lot of animal right organizations are working, but none talks about the right of disabled. So GNU is always leading the movement from the front, as always GNU is always in the headlines. और आज हमारे साथ जेएनयू से भी हमारे प्रतिनिधि हैं, तो इस पर हम खुल के बात करेंगे। उससे पहले आज की हेडलाइंस। भारत ने ऐतिहासिक पेरिस जलवायु समझौते पर किया हस्ताक्षर, किया समझौते का अनुमोदन। अबू धाबी के युवराज हो सकते हैं 2017 में गणतंत्र दिवस के मुख्य अतिथि। पूरे देश में आज स्वच्छ भारत अभियान, अमिताभ बच्चन ने भी की शिरकत। इसके साथ तमाम बॉलीवुड और नेता दिखे सड़कों पर झाड़ू लगाते हुए। संसद की कैंटीन में एक बार फिर से बढ़ सकते हैं खाने पीने के सामान के दाम। सार्क सम्मेलन में श्रीलंका के बाद अब नेपाल ने भी पाकिस्तान को लताड़ा। उरी हमले के लिए यूके और यूएसए ने भी डाला था हमले की निंदा करने के लिए नवाब शरीफ पर दबाव। और दूसरे टेस्ट मैच में भारत ने 8 विकेट गंवाई, लीड हुई 339 रन की। और क्रिकेटर महेंद्र सिंह धोनी की बायोपिक पर लोगों का मिक्स रिस्पांस, कईयों को बा रही है तो कईयों को दूसरा हाफ नहीं रहा है बा। ओके, सो जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, आज हम डील करेंगे कि स्ट्रे जो डॉग्स हैं और एनिमल से जो प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं तो उससे कैसे निपटना है। जेएनयू एक लंबे अरसे से इस पर लड़ रहा है और तमाम यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के जो प्रोफेसर हैं हमारे साथ हैं, और कुछ ने हमें ज्वाइन कर लिया, कुछ दे आर गोइंग टू ज्वाइन अस इन अ शॉर्ट वाइल। And let me make it very clear, I tried a lot of people to contact to come for this discussion, and I don't know why. It is a very serious and important issue with regard to disability. Some of the people finds it vague. They told me it is a vague issue, there is nothing to discuss. I don't know how they find. For me it is a very important issue, and a lot of visually impaired people are victim of stray dogs especially. We have Mr. Avinash Shahi. He is a PhD holder from JNU. He is doing a tremendous job for the disability on social media. He is also writing columns in the various famous newspaper. Avinash, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for giving time. Avinash, if you are with us, I'll get him.
Control M दबा लिया फिर.
Okay, so we have Mr. Anavaram. He is sociologist, disability activist, and he recently got the award, Universal Design Award as well. Anavaram sir, बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you very much.
Avinash, we are not able to hear you. Could you please unmute? And we have Dr. Kumar. He is one of our regular panelists nowadays, and he's associated with a lot of projects. Starfish project, if I'm not wrong, sir, on international level. He's also a doctorate. Yes. He studied from IIT.
Hello.
And he's with us. Yes, Avinash,
Hello.
we are getting you now.
All right.
And shortly we will be joined by Mr. Pavan Manta. He is a CEO of Swadika Center for the Disability Information Resource and Research Center. And of course with Mr. Subramani, is a sub-editor of Deccan Herald. अविनाश, लेट अस स्टार्ट विद, क्या ये प्रॉब्लम है जेएनयू में, एक लंबे अरसे से है, तो ये इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताएं। कब से ये आप मूवमेंट कर रहे हैं और क्या आउटकम्स आते हैं?
देखिए, जो मतलब डॉग्स और कैट्स की प्रॉब्लम है वो तो इस कैंपस में मतलब बहुत पहले से ही है, लेकिन पहले के टाइम पे क्या होता था कि टाइमली स्टेरिलाइजेशन होता था, तो जो केनाइन पॉपुलेशन है उनका जो ग्रोथ है वो मतलब कंट्रोल में रहता था। लेकिन मतलब ये पिछले मतलब कुछ सालों में ऐसा हुआ कि जो मतलब केनाइन पॉपुलेशन है उनको समय समय पे स्टेरिलाइजेशन हुआ नहीं, और जो कैंपस में मतलब स्टूडेंट्स की स्ट्रेंथ है मतलब वो भी इंक्रीज हुई। पहले मतलब इस कैंपस में स्टूडेंट्स भी मतलब 6,000 के आसपास थे, आज के टाइम पे 8,500 स्टूडेंट्स हैं। और ब्लाइंड स्टूडेंट्स भी मतलब पहले मतलब यहाँ पे 6-7 या 8 ही होते थे, आज के समय में 60 से अधिक ब्लाइंड स्टूडेंट्स हैं। तो मतलब जैसे जैसे स्टूडेंट्स की संख्या भी इंक्रीज हुई और उनकी जो मतलब मोबिलिटी रिक्वायरमेंट है उनको इम्प्रूव मतलब करने के लिए एक्सेसिबिलिटी पे मतलब काम हुआ, वैसे वैसे जो मतलब डॉग्स का भी इशू है वो उतना ही एक्सेंचुएट होता रह गया। और आज के समय में ऐसी स्थिति है कि मतलब कैंपस में ब्लाइंड स्टूडेंट्स ही नहीं, और भी जो मतलब नॉन टीचिंग स्टाफ है या उनके जो मतलब फैमिली मेंबर्स है वो भी इस समस्या से बहुत मतलब बुरी तरह से जूझ रहे हैं, और मतलब कोई सॉल्यूशन इसका मिल नहीं पा रहा है।
इन जनरल भी काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। मैं इंडियन एक्सप्रेस की एक रिपोर्ट देख रहा था, उसमें था कि महीने में जो डॉग काटते हैं लोगों को, डॉग बाइटिंग के जो लगभग 1,000 केस रजिस्टर किए जाते हैं। और केरला में तो इसको बैन करने का एक लंबे अरसे से प्रयास चल रहा है। अभी रिसेंटली ही एक फीमेल की वहां पर डेथ भी हुई। तो उस पर हालांकि जो मेनका गांधी हैं, जो बीजेपी की मिनिस्टर हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि स्टेरिलाइजेशन इज अ राइट ऑप्शन, हम किल तो नहीं कर सकते हैं, शी इज एनिमल राइट। लेकिन इसके अलावा भी सड़क पर हम देखते हैं कि गायें, भैंसें, हर तरह के जानवर, जो काफी प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं इसके साथ भी। तो अगर एनिमल राइट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है तो उनका ये भी कहीं ना कहीं फर्ज बनता है कि ठीक है, अगर इनके लिए भी कोई आप कुछ मैकेनिज्म करें, कुछ बनाएं इनके लिए, कि आप रोड पर तो सबको इससे प्रॉब्लम आती है। अनाबरम सर, यू हैव एक्सपीरियंस विद इट, यू आर आल्सो वर्किंग for the disabled in Hyderabad University. You are doing a lot of things. So what is your experience? How to tackle this problem?
Thank you. I think, as you rightly said in the beginning, this is a serious problem. अविनाश ने सही कहा, जब हम 2004 में वहाँ ज्वाइन हुए थे, it was a junk. At a point, suddenly 25 of us joined from different parts of India. Before we joined, I think the entire campus, the disabled strength was hardly 7 or 8. तो जब हम ज्वाइन हुए थे, ऐसा नहीं कि कुत्ते के प्रॉब्लम पहले नहीं था. I mean, it was a problem before also, but since it is a problem of minority, nobody in fact made it such a big issue. In fact, I was one of the victims. I don't know whether I should say it with a pride or with some sort of a sorry state of affairs. मुझे ऐसी समय पे कुत्ता काटी थी कि our exams were about to begin sometime in November 2007. And we also realized after that, it was in the same month about 15 people were bitten. And there were 2 children, some women, some very old senior citizens. When the issue was, when we started fighting for it, interestingly, there was a counter campaign by animal lovers. They immediately formed something called Animal Lovers Association. That was the first time in 2007. There was something called Animal Lovers Association, completely guarded by a set of women from a particular kind of group, particular states. And there was a huge fight between both of us, both the groups. And in fact, both the groups had a great solidarity. All these women, they used to take milk from the hostels, go and feed them. At some point of the time, you must be surprised, the Delhi Municipal Corporation has sent a dozen vans. They took all the vans, they took all the dogs into vans. When they were about to cross the gates, these women stopped the vans, forced them to release those dogs back. Such was the scenario. When I see what is happening in Kerala, I very fondly remember the fact that what was happening in JNU at that point of time is now getting replicated across Kerala. You can see some sort of that movement. We can see even also in Bangalore, not at the grand level as it is in Kerala. So I think in the days to come, you would realize there is going to be this kind of a conflict, because not the blind alone, but a range of groups, children, women, and the senior citizens are going to be hostage to it. How we are going to tackle is a big issue. It is as serious as a problem.
Yeah,
but I was also looking at.
बोलिए.
I was also looking at, thanks to Avinash, an article published by a blind dog lover in the New York Times or Washington Post some time
It
ago.
was Sydney Morning Herald, yeah.
Sydney Morning Herald, such an interesting story. Completely different story altogether on the other side of the Atlantic. And the dog being one of the family partner and how it has been a great help. I don't know why we are not actually. I'm not a dog hater. I love dogs, but as long as they don't conflict with my day-to-day functionality. We're also saying, can government go beyond this and think all these animal lovers? I have no problem. I have no hesitation to say someone like Maneka Gandhi. Why don't they think out of box? Why don't they conduct dog training camps? If they think dogs can be useful, and if they really love dogs, can we really replicate at least half of what is happening in the United States, UK, Australia, and some other parts? That is a possibility.
एग्जैक्टली दिस इज व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग. एक तो मैं गूगल पे जब रिपोर्ट तैयार कर रहा था, किसी ने लिखा था कि इंडिया में उतने लोग टेररिज्म से नहीं मरते जितने कुत्ते के काटने से मरते हैं. तो एटलीस्ट अगर जैसे गौशाला है, अगर आप बाकी एनिमल लवर हो तो देयर शुड बी अ प्रॉपर मैकेनिज्म. यू जस्ट लेट देम गो ऑन द रोड्स एंड बाइट अदर पीपल. डॉक्टर कुमार, व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन इट?
Sir, agree. See, basically, I am a really animal lover. I love dogs very much. In fact, had 3 pets. I had a pet, which is this, and I had 2 Cocker Spaniels with my brother-in-law. We loved pets. But pets is different than stray dogs or stray animals on the road. Now, the road is people to ply. Now, like for example, see, when you have a main road where the cars go, now we human beings or the people who are walking should go on the pavement. Now, if I say I stray on the main highway, I say I am a guy, I am a person, I can walk anywhere. If I stray on the highway, what will happen to me? I'm car vehicles, or one of the car vehicles will just hit me and go. But similarly, there are the animals. But the animals, the problem is they sting back or bite us. So I feel, with due respect to the animal lovers, what they are doing is they are not at all saving the animals. They are allowing them and all those things. So what I feel is these animals, as I say, any stray animals, they should be picked up, they should have the care of, like Blue Cross or any other. They should have a common place where they can have can be taken care of. And if these animal lovers are so very interested, why don't they take that straight them, put them into their own house and do that as their own pet, or if there are so many else. And these, or do you talk of the buffaloes and cows? I think they are not stray. These cows and buffaloes are a property of somebody or people in the nearby herds, and they just leave them stray so that they can just go out and eat anything and do that. These could be caught and the owner fined for leaving it astray. So these are all my thoughts.
जी.
Apart from
अविनाश,
the other
जी.
things.
या
सो डॉक्टर साहब आता हूँ आपके पास. अविनाश, ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि 2 प्रश्न है मेरे. एक तो क्या स्टेरिलाइजेशन इस समस्या का हल है, and the second point I wanted to know, you met with the committee members, you spoke to your fellow members, students. What is the outcome? Actually, are they ready to support you in your movement? What is happening there? What is their perspective?
Yeah, number one, we are not saying that sterilization is the complete solution on campus, because if you sterilize dogs on campus, it will not make sure that dogs won't bite us. So sterilization is not a complete solution in sense where students are traumatized because they are not able to attend classes. They are finding it difficult to attend seminars and conferences. So until and unless the dogs are relocated somewhere, I think there should not be a proper solution on campus. Second thing, we had a meeting 3 days ago with the campus development committee, representatives from our forum, Jenny Wilson Forum, and some lobbyists from pro-animal group came for the meeting, and we aired our views. We submitted our demand charter. We asked university administration to look into the matter at the earliest, and they should come up with some solution. Otherwise, we have also informed them that if university will not be able to take any concrete action, will be forced to approach CCPD or Supreme Court, because it's an issue of there has to be a balance between human rights and animal rights. And once there's a conflict where human rights are violated or delegated before animal rights, there has to be provision where human rights should prevail over animal rights. So we submitted our demand charter, and university has constituted a committee. It has to submit its report. It's a procedure, but we at the minimal level, we have made it known to the university officials that it's a serious issue. Now let's see how they approach, and if our issue is not sorted out on campus, we will approach Supreme Court or CCPD. This is
Subramani sir has also joined. Subramani sir, welcome. Avinash, I 100% agree with you, whatever you are saying. And I don't know really why people, as you rightly said, important or animal right. We are not saying you kill them. If you are the animal lover, you take them to your homes and fed them. You come, people, so-called this lobby come forward, and even if they gift anybody they will see the breed. They will not take any stray dog. They will see the breed of the dog and present a beautiful dog or puppy to any celebrity for running their campaign. People, I have also question to the lot of people who thinks it is a vague issue. I mean, I'm horrified. This is such a big issue. I myself is bitten by 3 times. Yeah, Anavaram sir, please. How do you take the viewpoint of? And I congratulate Avinash for raising this issue. Bala, would you try to take Subramani sir again? I think there is a net problem. Till then, please continue, Anavaram sir.
I fully agree with the fact when there is a violation, there is a conflict between animal rights and human rights. Ultimately, as a human society, I think we have a responsibility to be to take a proactive role towards protecting human rights. I mean, but the problem is, at some point of time, there is a philosophical assumption that animal rights are part of human affiliation. Because I am a full human being only when I am allowed to be associated with whatever pets I am allowed to. That is an argument we have been hearing at least for quite some time now. And there is no doubt about it. I mean, as a human being.
Yeah, please continue. We lost the line with Anavaram sir. Hey, Subramani sir, welcome to the show. Please go ahead with your opening remark.
Thank you. See, the question of stray animals has been a problem that the blind has been particularly facing for a long time, especially in a city like Bangalore. For example, in my own street, I have about 50 stray dogs, which means I won't be able to walk in the night. Okay, night walking is almost unthinkable. And there is also these animal rights activists who are actually not allowing the culling of the dogs. The culling of the dogs is like catching them and taking them somewhere and putting them peacefully to sleep. But they're not letting that happen. So because of the conflicting nature of rights, because human rights versus the animal rights, and most of the times animal rights has got the power, and that's that's a problem that we continue to face here. And I don't know, I mean, the society has to find a solution, and it is a problem for us. It is definitely a problem for us, and it's a very serious problem at that. That will be my opening remark.
And Avinash, before I go to Dr. Kumar, Avinash, I wanted to know,
Yeah.
did you consult with any organization? The thing I like in you, you spirit to the core, you fight to the core, and even if doesn't support you, take the support of social media and so on. So there was no movement whatsoever in before, as Anavaram said, has, but from the organizations, it is a serious issue. Even general mainstream people are fighting in Kerala and some other states. So how do you see it? Organizational support.
See, in JNU, we have been actually, advocating for, greater mobility and protection from, animal bite since 2011 also. If you remember in the 2011-12, blind students, here on campus, along with other disabled students, orthopedic disabled students, we had a hunger strike also. And at that time, our vice chancellor was Professor Sapori, Sudhir Sapori, and he also constituted a committee, and there was a huge hue and cry over the issue, but nothing concrete could be made out of it. But yes, you're right. Actually, we are exercising all options before us. But initially, what we are trying to convince the administration to actually relocate dogs. And if, because, as far as I remember, the ongoing petition in the Supreme Court regarding this animal rights versus human rights debate, in the Supreme Court, we have not been, able to bring a disability rights perspective in this debate. And, I feel, after the ratification of UN CRPD and these sections, 44, 45, 46 of the PWD Act, if we will take up this hindrance of mobility or the, curtailments of, free access on campus into this animal rights versus human rights debate, I'm sure, Supreme Court will have some, answer to this problem, because it's not only a physical curtailment, students are psychologically traumatized also. So, and not only is students, as like Jawaharlal Nehru University, it is, located in a very ecological sensitive zone. We have Aravali, hills. It's a part of Aravali Hills. So what happens? Dogs are not only causing problem for the human being; they are also are threat for the wildlife species, which has not been highlighted. But we have some evidences, and if we will approach the Supreme Court, hopefully, if university will not take some stern action into this matter, we will approach the Supreme Court and bring this disability rights perspective, and hopefully things will be as we expect.
Absolutely, yes, I agree, and I wish we will get it. Now, Dr. Kumar Sahab, Anavaram sir has also joined us, and Subramani sir also. Now, see, Avinash is absolutely right, but as Subramani sir said, Dr. Kumar, he is also right. It creates problem at night, even in the village where people can walk around freely, visually impaired I'm talking. There people, due to these stray animals, they are not able to, walk freely. So don't we need to run a, national campaign to have a solution? It is such a big problem, as we are talking about barrier-free atmosphere, until the stray animals, including dogs, are on the road, it can't be barrier-free. How do you see it?
Agreed, Danish. Here, I would like to give another perspective. Why don't we think on being a all those things? Why don't we think some solution based on technological solutions? Say some small invention of a small sort of a machine, a small bug. See, you remember we have a sound. Now, what we hear is 20 to 220 or 200 megahertz is the frequency of the sound. But there are some sound frequencies, but these dogs are animals here. And there are particular sound frequencies which also create a sort of a pan on the dogs, and it is irritant and it makes the dog go away from that area. Now, so if we could devise some sort of a sensor which could create that sound frequency. So maybe it may be a small bug which we can wear in our hands, everybody, a bigger chunk along, say within about 100 meters to 200 meters propagating, we will not be listening to it. But these cats will start listening and try to move away from that sound. And over a period of time, what will happen is these dogs or cats may automatically is having this sort of noise, and they may not that area. These stray dogs and cats will automatically move away from that area. Now, this is in the public place that we are looking at it. Now,
Danish, can I? Sorry.
Yeah, let me complete that. Just let me complete. Similarly, for a use sort of places, we can have some sort of a beacon, sort of a something set up somewhere at some particular places or corners of place where people need not have to carry it. So then automatically we can make that free of place. There's no animal rights. We are not putting it that. Indirectly we are doing it for our safety. Now this is my humble view. And let the others.
No, we agree. We partly agree, but because still a large section of visually impaired community do not use technology. So yes, it is one of the solution. Okay,
Danish, I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Okay. See, 2007, this issue took a prominence in Bangalore because there was a kid, an 8-year-old girl, was literally ripped apart by a bunch of dogs, stray dogs.
Yes,
and when that issue happened, the Bangalore municipality decided to, cull the dogs. They issued a license, they issued an order to put the dogs to rest. Because the problem in Bangalore, the human versus dog population is fairly higher than in other cities. It's not the same, in other cities. So in a high density stray population like that of Bangalore, the technology solution is not going to work. You know why? Because these dogs are fairly unruly. See, the mob psychology applies to the dogs too. If the dog is a single dog, you can chase it away. But if the dog is going to be, if the dog is going to have 7 or 8 companions, it's going to act in a different way. Okay, it's very difficult to control. Even for a grown-up adult, we're not going to control the dogs. They're going to overpower you, and they know that actually. And there are situations in Bangalore where blind people had to encounter a group of dogs. I myself had to run into, we were sitting in a cab. I was sitting in a cab and I just kept the window open. The dogs were coming in. Luckily for me, the car was speeding away, so the dogs could not, do anything. Okay, so the dog population in a city like Bangalore, I'm specifically talking about Bangalore here, where the dog population is extremely high. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I don't want to go into that reasons because there are debates and there are a lot of discussions about it. But it is causing a big problem, not just for people. See, who are fighting for animal rights, Danish? People who are in big bungalows, people whose children are safe, people who are not going to face this problem. Okay, but who's dying? The construction worker's kid was the one that is dead. Okay, and people who are in the streets are dying, but nobody bothers about it. So somewhere, people who are fighting for the animal rights must understand that there has to be a balance that needs to be struck. Without putting some dogs to rest, we're not going to tackle this issue in a better way. That's my opinion. And Dr. Kumar, the technology could help, but technology is not the be all and end all of this problem.
No, Subramanian, I do understand. I do agree. Just a point. I do agree. Technology is not be all and by all. But I thought it occurs to some extent like JNU or some where we can initially start working on that. But I do agree. We need a much bigger solution for that.
So अनावरम सर, आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूँ, क्या हमारे पास एक ही सोल्यूशन बचा है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास जाने का, या CCPD, जहाँ कहीं ना कहीं हम फेल रहते हैं? एक तो बात यह कि हम मार्जिनलाइज हैं और मार्जिनलाइज में भी मार्जिनलाइज हैं, कोई हमारी बात नहीं करता. जैसे अविनाश ने अभी पॉइंट किया था, सुब्रमण्य सर ने, कि जब डिसेबिलिटी जो प्रोस्पेक्टिव है वो वहां ह्यूमन राइट में भी नहीं आया, तो are we left with the only this Supreme Court options, or why we are all the time failed to sensitize? Because as Subramani sir rightly said, this lobby comes from a very aristocratic family, and they have a huge network on media as well. So with a lot of celebrities comes forward, Bollywood stars come forward. How to tackle this issue? Are we left with the same option, or can we sensitize this lobby? Anavaram sir.
Dhanushi, yeah, I think I slightly modify your statement. I'm sometimes wondered whether it is we who have failed to sensitize, or it is the others who have failed to have been sensitized. Maybe it is the others who failed to be sensitized. I'm not saying that we have launched big enough campaigns to sensitize on this, but even in those places where there has been an intense effort to sensitize people about the animal versus human rights, we have fairly failed, perhaps, rather I say we haven't succeeded enough because others were not ready to.
On Sunday, October 2nd, 2016.
I think I have been between, I was saying this, that when we go out into the public to talk about the animal versus human rights, I think my point is we have to make it very clear that we are fighting against this not because we are blind. It is not about disabled versus animal rights or blind versus animal rights. I think it is about people facing, we are also talking on behalf of a number of other groups. And we should make sure that disabled are equally pet lovers, because we could clearly see during some of our negotiations, at some point of time, people went to the you hate dogs because you are blind. I mean, that is not correct. I mean, that is absolutely stupid and an argument of kind. So we have to make it very clear that we are fighting against it on a very different ground. I mean, as animals. As such, we don't have any problem with it. Two, your question is very right. Are we left only with the Supreme Court, the option of going? Are we only left with the judicial mechanism, judicial remedy, or do we have other mechanisms? I think even if we are left with the legal remedy, let me tell you, the legal remedy don't. This has been our experience. This has been an experience with a lot of other groups. It has to be a simultaneous approach.
आपकी आवाज रुक गई थी. Can you repeat, please? What you said?
I'm saying you're correct that it is not that we have been left only with the judicial remedy, but I'm saying we have to have a simultaneous approach because issues of this kind cannot be resolved by the courts alone. We have to approach the courts and get some legal clarification about human versus animal rights. B, our effort to sensitize people around us should also continue. Perhaps should continue more.
Danish, can I add something here?
Yeah, please.
Hello. Yeah. No. Hello.
Gigi.
Yeah, go ahead, Subra.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah. Now, see, we also act in the assumption that everybody respects the judicial orders. Okay? But, that is an assumption that works when everybody is in the frame of mind to work. Unless there is a political will, judiciary alone cannot solve the issue. Okay? We can get a court order. We can force it on people. But unless the mindset, unless, the understanding part of it doesn't exist, we're not going to win this battle. And also, I'd like to make a fine distinction here. See, pet equals animals, but we are not talking about pets here. These are not pets. These are dangerous, serious threats to human beings. Human beings in general and persons with disability in particular. So we are talking about animals that are not controllable. Pets you can control. Pets you know how to manage. But these animals are not manageable animals. These are not controllable animals. So I feel that that distinction has to be made when you talk about stray animals in general. So that's my point.
Yeah.
Danish, just to add.
Okay, Dr. Saab, please complete quickly. Yeah, please.
As you said, for the stray and pet dogs, and as Anavaram said, that people have a perception that people with disability, like blind people, hate dogs. I'm sorry to say, that's again the perception. They are ignorant. See, a person like me, a blind, prefer to have a dog or some other cat because I know, as I say, if it's a pet, I know the dogs, any stranger comes, it'll bark me and it'll immediately help me house. I can stay alone with a pet dog. I don't need a person. But these are the perceptions we need to sensitize it. But again, as Subramani also said, we need to sensitize. We are not asking for pet dogs. These are dogs and stray animals. Right? Okay, go ahead.
ओके अविनाश, मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूं कि ये बताएं कि ये सिर्फ जेएनयू का नहीं है। अभी हमारे जो रिस्पेक्टेड पैनलिस्ट है सभी ने कहा ऑलमोस्ट अपने अपने स्टेट में सब ये प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रहे हैं। तो आप लिखते भी हैं, अलग अलग समस्याओं पर लिखते हैं, डिसेबिलिटी भी। तो मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि बहुत कम एडवोकेसी ग्रुप हैं डिसेबिलिटी कम्युनिटी में जो इन इश्यूज को उठाते हैं। तो इन इश्यूज पर ये लगभग विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड को तो फेस करनी पड़ती है। तो क्या जो आपका मूवमेंट है जेएनयू के बाहर भी आएगा या ये जेएनयू में ही आप पहले करेंगे? और इसके बाद जो एडवोकेसी का सवाल है, क्योंकि आप डिसेबिलिटी की समझ रखते हैं, तो मैं ये भी जानना चाहता हूं क्यों जो हमारे ग्रुप हैं वो उनका सिर्फ ज्यादातर फोकस्ड है कि कंप्यूटर सेंटर ही खुल जाएं या जो काम ऑलरेडी हो रहा है उस पर ज्यादा फोकस्ड है, इन चीजों पर ध्यान क्यों नहीं जाता? व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन इट?
आपने मतलब बहुत अच्छे से तो सवाल को रखा, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट ओनली अ प्रॉब्लम फेस्ड बाय स्टूडेंट्स ऑन different campuses. It's a genuine problem which people are encountering at their homes also, especially in rural areas. आपका अगर याद हो 4 months ago मतलब there was a news in the Hindu कि एक वो blind he was around 38-39 years of age और उनको he woke on around 4 a.m. in the morning और he went outside his home to attend a call of nature and he was crushed down by an elephant you see outside his home. So मतलब कि ऐसा ही नहीं है कि it's a problem only faced by students on campuses. different शहरों में मतलब डॉग्स का तो इशू सबको नजर में आता है, लेकिन मुझे ये लगता है कि ये जो एक्सेसिबिलिटी की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि आप रैंप बनाओ, लिफ्ट बनाओ, इसको मतलब थोड़ा एक्सपेंड करने का जरूरत है। करोड़ों रुपया आप मतलब सरकार ने एक्सेसिबल इंडिया मतलब कैंपेन भी शुरू किया है, लेकिन अगर आपके लाइफ को अगर आपके वो थ्रेटन है रोड पे चलने से एनिमल या मतलब डॉग्स की वजह से, जो कि स्टे डॉग्स है उसका स्टेरिलाइजेशन हुआ नहीं है, तो आप एक्सेसिबिलिटी भी इंश्योर मतलब करके उसको मतलब यू कांट प्रोवाइड एक्सेसिबल एनवायरनमेंट और पब्लिक स्पेसेस, क्योंकि जितने भी दिल्ली में मतलब कि पार्क्स हैं, अम्यूजमेंट जो ग्राउंड्स होते हैं, मतलब गार्डन्स हैं जहाँ पे मतलब झूले हैं या मतलब वाटर मतलब कि पार्क होते हैं, तो जो मतलब कल्चरल एक वेल बीइंग है या एक्सपीरियंस है, वो भी अगर आप अकेले इंडिपेंडेंटली अगर आप एक्सपीरियंस मतलब करना चाहते हैं तो वो भी आपका रिस्ट्रिक्टेड है। तो आई थिंक आपने पूछा कि ये कैंपस में ही ना रहे, तो इसके लिए हमें एक आइडियल इंटेलेक्चुअली एज वेल एज politically we'll have to sensitize the masses भाई कि ये it's a serious issue of inaccessible environment which is imposed upon us, क्योंकि हमारा नहीं, आप उनकी सोचे ना जो मतलब बच्चे हैं, मतलब छोटे छोटे जो बच्चे हैं 3-4 साल के बच्चे, जेएनयू में जो हेल्थ सेंटर है वहां पे जितना स्टूडेंट्स को मतलब डॉग्स की वजह से प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, उतना जो मतलब छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं यहाँ पे स्टाफ के, उनको मतलब डॉग बाइट्स होते हैं और वो अपने आप को डिफेंड भी नहीं मतलब कर पाते हैं। जो अडल्ट हैं वो तो मतलब थोड़ा बहुत अपने आप को बचा भी सकते हैं, लेकिन जो 3-3 साल के बच्चे हैं वो अपने आप को मतलब कैसे बचाएंगे, ये हमें सोचना पड़ेगा। दूसरी बात ये कि जो मतलब वाइल्ड लाइफ एक्ट है 1970 मतलब 2 का, उसमें भी हमें अमेंडमेंट मतलब कराने की जरूरत है। वैसे तो अगर आप समझें तो मतलब डॉग्स को मतलब कलिंग करने के लिए या मतलब किलिंग करने के लिए कोई सजा इतनी खास है भी नहीं, ठीक है। अगर मतलब कि जैसे मतलब केरला में भी हुआ जो कुछ हुआ, सब लोगों ने इतना हल्ला मचा, इट वाज एन अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट बिकॉज आई मतलब पर्सनली फील कि there, there has to be a balance. But since we are human beings, so we should not actually cull or kill dogs, because मारना भी उसका मतलब कोई solution है नहीं. All species in the world have right to be alive. तो in that sense I think ठीक है, survival का issue है, लेकिन dogs को एक तरीके से आप या तो मतलब as Annavaram sir was saying in early in the program कि training centers भी यहाँ पे मतलब dogs को prepare मतलब करने के लिए कि वो मतलब guide dog के रूप में वो काम कर सके, ऐसा हो सकता है. And if I remember well, मुंबई में ऐसा एक इनिशिएटिव शुरू भी हुआ था कि डॉग्स को ट्रेन मतलब करने का एक प्रोग्राम हुआ था कि ये ब्लाइंड के साथ में रहेंगे. बट इन इंडिया our मतलब contextual reality is very very different from the western मतलब countries. जिस तरह की population है यहाँ, या illiteracy है, या फिर मतलब कुत्तों को लेके जो एक feeling है, छी मतलब कुत्ता है ना घर का ना घाट का. We have so many proverbs in our Indian regional settings कि it's very difficult to actually train them. But yes, it could be started especially in metro cities. Metro cities से शुरू हो सकता है. अदरवाइज ये तो आई थिंक एक्सेसिबिलिटी मतलब का ही ये मेजर मतलब कंसर्न है कि एनिमल्स आपके रास्ते को ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट मतलब कर रहे हैं, जो कि स्ट्रे हैं, वो जो मतलब पालतू नहीं है वो. तो यही है प्रॉब्लम. आई थिंक इसको एक्सेसिबिलिटी से हमें जो यूएनसीआरपीडी की जो नोशन है कि एक्सेसिबल एनवायरनमेंट मतलब क्या होना चाहिए, उसमें आई थिंक जो मतलब स्टे मतलब डॉग्स और जो एनिमल्स हैं वो भी एक मतलब तरीके का बैरियर है. इस अंडरस्टैंडिंग को अगर मतलब साथ में लेके हम एक्सेसिबिलिटी के मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट को प्रमोट मतलब करेंगे, तो मुझे लगता है कि जो सेंसिटाइजेशन है या अवेयरनेस है वो स्ट्रांगली क्रिएट होगी सोसाइटी में.
जी Bala, you have a
Danish, can I
question
make
from
a small
listener?
suggestion here?
Yeah,
Sorry,
just
Danish, if you permit me to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, one point, Avinash, that I would like to make is that, when you present this case, probably you should make a presentation that, we're not talking about animals. We're not talking about barriers. We're talking about threats. These are endangering the safety of, people in general and persons with disability in particular. So it's not just a barrier, but a threat. Secondly, we should also not overlook the fact that these are carriers of bacteria, virus, and there are a lot of environmental threat from these animals. So it would be nice if you present that aspect to the Supreme Court.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure.
दिस इज एक्चुअली डिस्कशन करवाने का मतलब होता है कि काफी चीजें निकल के आती हैं, तो लॉट ऑफ सजेशंस कम फॉरवर्ड. Bala, you have a question from listener. Please go ahead and tell who your question is to.
Good evening to everyone. A question from the listener stating, why can't the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change term the dogs as vermin species as it has done in the case of Nilgai in Bihar, so that it could help the process of culling feasible?
So your question is to the listeners, and particularly any panelist? Okay, so sir, who wants to take? Anybody from you can take the question.
I'll take it. See, I'll tell you, the problem is, it's not the government intervention is a problem here, because government has to, confront stronger lobbies, animal rights lobbies. So, which is actually, stronger because it comes from the cream of the society, which government wouldn't like to antagonize all the time. So I feel that there is a hesitancy from not just the central government but also from the state governments and from the local governments here, because the lobby that fights for the animal rights is very strong. And I'm okay with that, but the point is that they are fighting on all the wrong grounds. The points on which they are fighting this case is wrong, and somebody has to make them understand. Unfortunately, the government is not doing that job, and they wouldn't like to do it also.
जी बिल्कुल. Subramanian sir, my next question is to advocacy. The point advocacy I started, that our advocacy right group.
So they are in the meantime, if I can also respond mother to the the question which was asked to us. Actually, you see, in this the government, you had this case where Ministry of Environment and Forest has turned this nilgai as a vermin species, and then you had open fight. We witnessed open fight between women and Justice Minister, Menika and Prakash Javadekar, but there was no any lobby on the part of Neil guys who turned up. But as far as the dogs are concerned, I think as Subramanian sir has rightly said and others also said that there's a very very powerful lobby group which has all its resources at its disposal, which it can spend in preventing any advocacy or any the policy level change which would make it possible that crops are not threatened and human beings lives are not threatened. So we have to find a solution, and I'm sure it could be fine, it could be found, but initially we will have to create a debate over the issue. We'll have to generate a sensitization, then I think things will be sorted out. That's what I feel.
Anavaram sir,
and unfortunately sorry,
go ahead.
You were talking about the campaign. See, unfortunately, nobody has taken it up with the seriousness of, the seriousness with which we normally see in other issues. For example, we talk about
and education.
the employment and education, or even capital punishment, or euthanasia. There are lots of issues where there are strong opinions. Unfortunately, in this case, we don't seem to have any stronger opinion against the threat, the menace of stray animals in our country. This has been part of our life for a pretty long time. Foreigners who come to India describe our streets with stray animals. So it's sort of not become a serious enough issue for us to make a campaign. Maybe this debate, or through Radioudaan, we would be, if we can initiate something, that would be great.
Yeah, but Subramanian sir, a lot of people even were saying, what is this topic all about? Deal with the animals of the. So how can
nobody has an opinion on this?
Okay, Anavaram sir, advocacy right group की मैं बात कर रहा था, उसके बारे में हम थोड़ी सी बात करते हैं. ये इश्यूज क्यों, जैसे कैंपेन जो जैसे अविनाश ने कहा या सुब्रमण्य सर ने कहा, ये क्यों इतने नहीं चलते हैं? एजुकेशन और एम्प्लॉयमेंट ही इशू रह जाता है सबके पास. ऐसे इश्यूज जो ये भी बहुत मेजर इशू हैं, तो इस पे बात नहीं होती है. रीजन क्या है? इस पे फंडिंग नहीं मिलती, करना नहीं चाहते, ये काम एक्चुअली टफ है.
मैं थोड़ा अलग करके उसको सोचना चाहता हूं कि you look at, I think, the disability population in general and the visually impaired population in particular are now in a transition phase in India. In this country, a good number of us have started coming out of our homes, started walking in the metropolitan streets, started traveling. I think I may be a little over-exaggerating it. For the last 25-30 years or so, I mean, and the movement, our transition movement is slightly rapid thanks to 1995 Act and the employment and education, all these policies, for the last 15 or 10 years or so. In fact, I would then, I don't hesitate to say that the visually impaired population in particular have come onto the streets for the last 10-15 years. And all the more important, therefore, this issue now becomes important, because now our encounter with the public and our encounter with some of the species is ultra new, and therefore is delayed. The delay is partly because of this transition phase. Why the advocacy? Yes, there are strong reasons. Partly, sometime you remember, most of these movements are also run with the help of a large contingent of volunteers. Again, I go back to my JNU experience. Our volunteers themselves might pat at your back and say, look, this is not the demand you're supposed to fight for. And if you fight for it, we are not with you. In fact, there were such direct threats when we started this movement in JNU. Some of the very smart and very helpful young women came forward and said, sorry, if you continue with this, we may not be able to help you in other walks of life, say reading, arranging scribes, so on and so forth, where they are very, very out forth. And therefore, I think we would also not receive, and perhaps we would not have been receiving as much support as we need for this particular issue. That could also be one of the strong reasons why most of us, as some of us rightly commented when you proposed this topic, and people don't really come and at least if not cooperate with you, at least they don't encourage you. That could be one of the reasons. But now I think the discussion has started, and soon I'm sure this would definitely become one of the contentious issues, as I was saying, because now traveling, transportation, walking in the streets, walking on the roads is as important as going for a job or education for us now, and therefore we have to meet it head on, and that will definitely then make it imperative for us to advocate and to talk about this issue. I'm audible to you guys?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
As
Danish,
far as
go ahead.
Yeah. See, why don't we actually treat the dogs on par with the, say, nilgais, and technically whatever term you use it, why don't we declare them? I think that is little too much of a sarcastic idea. I'll tell you one reason. Almost all municipalities in this country collect taxes on pet dogs. The moment you declare this as a warm species, remember, the government, all these municipalities are going to lose the tax. Don't underestimate, at least like cities like Bombay and Bangalore, there is a fair amount of tax that government collects from the people who perhaps have the dogs in their homes. They keep paying taxes, municipal taxes. The moment you technically declare it as a warm species, then you can't even give them licenses to be bred at the homes. That would be technically not possible. I also feel equally, perhaps from my own heart, that dogs are really intelligible species. I mean, from our own experience, there used to be a very big road when we were college students. There used to be one particular dog. We saw it at least for 5 years continuously. The moment a blind man goes with a stick, if you have a cane in your hand, it used to come and stand on your side. You just have your hand on its back, it crosses you to the other side of the road. It used to do like a regular employee, almost from morning 9 to 5, till the evening. Whenever it happened to see any blind man with a cane. So dogs are very intelligible species. You don't have to declare them this or that, but we have to see how best we can make use of them, if not culling and other things.
ओके, थैंक यू. सो अभी क्लोजिंग आपसे, जी बिल्कुल डॉक्टर साहब, आपसे शुरू करते हैं. आपके क्लोजिंग कमेंट और जो भी आप कहना चाहते हैं जी.
See, basically what I want to say is that, see, again, there are two things I just want to make it. We're not talking about the pet dogs here. We are talking about the ferocious and the stray dogs. Similarly, this issue of dogs or stray animals is not an issue only for disabled sectors alone. Now, let me put it very clearly, as Subramani has said. For me, when my wife or my other people at the family fly on a two-wheeler, even I am in a metropolitan city in Chennai, but even then at night 10:30 when the roads are all bleak or when less traffic is there, they cannot come into. Start coming into. There are 10 dogs just in front of outside my house itself. There are 10 dogs running beside them. No, we are not gets bitten. So it's a problem for them. Like for example, these animal lovers, they say, let me say we human beings. Now when suppose, let me say I'm staying in a society like this, I'm insane and cruel and start everybody with a thorny thing. Will the society keep me? Immediately they say I'm a problematic guy. Immediately police will come, arrest, saying that I'm creating some chaos or what me on something. But because I'm not a normal person, I'm indulging in other activities. Why not the same thing to be done to these animals? Which we are talking about the stray animals, not the pet animals.
Exactly.
Why this disparity for a human being? If I behave like that scary thing or whatever thing, I'm immediately on booked. When it comes to dogs, these guys have other problem. That's how I'm looking at it.
Exactly. Thank you for your closing comment. Subramani sir, your closing comment.
My closing comments are two. I divided into two parts. Part number one is that, as I will second what Kumar sir has just said. Number one, we need to distinguish between pets and stray. Pet animals are actually, they're given vaccine, they're properly medicated, and they're less of a threat to human beings. Whereas stray animals are not, and stray animals are also larger in number. They pose a big threat for people who walk on the streets. So government has to do something legally to stop the stray menace, at least in the metropolitan cities to begin with. Secondly, the second part of the problem is that if a dog bites a blind man, or if a dog bites anybody, there are no emergency services in our streets. Okay, if the dog carries rabies, probably it needs to be, the person who gets the bite needs to be attended faster. So you don't have such facilities in our cities. So probably I think there has to be an emergency medical infrastructure in place so that people who face these problems are immediately attended to. That's the second part of my conclusion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Avinash.
As far as concluding comments are concerned, I would invoke. First I would invoke Article 21 of our Constitution, where it is very much mandated that all individuals in India have right to live with liberty and dignity, right to life. And I think, facing this threat from stray mother dogs is complete, it's a threat on our well-being, on our free mobility, and it's a threat to live with dignity. And I also would like to put for the consideration for the audience and for the other citizens also, that if I am residing in a public place, if I am staying on a campus like JNU, which is a public institution, who will own an accountability that dog does not bite me, or the cats don't threat my health and my well-being. There has to be accountability fixed upon the administration or the university administration or the government should come up with a legal policy where there has to be an accountability owned by the government, that if students are staying on campus, or if they want to use public places, there should be a protection of their rights. There should be a protection that they should not be bitten or threatened by stray dogs. And I think this question should be thought upon. Thank you.
Exactly, I agree with you. और हम कैंपस में पढ़ने जाते हैं, प्यार थोड़ा जाते हैं जानवर, वो तो कर लेंगे हम पेट डॉग के साथ या किसके साथ. Anavaram sir, you are concluding.
Dhanush, I think I have to make myself clear. I'm very consciously making this point. I was not making a difference between stray dog and a pet. It's a conscious decision. Simply because you buy a German breed or a French breed or an Italian breed and keep it at your home, and you treat it as a pet dog, and the dogs on the road are a stray dogs. The stray dogs are stray dogs because we left them astray. You buy a breed from Germany, keep it on the road, tomorrow it will become a stray dog. My impression is, in a country like this, where it is not possible for us to, we do not even prefer to kill the animals. I think what my point is that we have to ensure even these so-called stray dogs, if they can be little more cultured. This is possible. The example I was giving about myself, and there are such many more examples. The dogs in the villages, and perhaps living as parts of their families in many villages. They're all stray dogs by our own definition. But in fact, they're doing much better job than a pet dog, which is always chained in your houses. I at least will be standing on the other side of the line and say, yes, they are stray dogs, but we're talking about the stray dogs. We don't have a problem with the pet dogs, and therefore they don't actually come under our discussion at all. The problem is we have stray dogs, we have to make them straight, and I'm saying this is possible. This is possible, but this is possible only through a multi-zonal approach, and of course through medication or whatever you call it. As I've said before, because they are intelligible species, we can make them straight. Let us try if we can make use of at least a good number of them for a better use. That was my point. But this requires a legal, political, and a social awareness approach, and probably in the days to come we will have some some acceptable solution for it.
Ji, thank you so much. I hope that Avinash will carry forward this movement and he will get the success and it will be good. Even in the villages तो सर ऐसी कंडीशन है वो कुत्तों को मारने नहीं देते, कहते हैं अगर कुत्ते मर गए तो हम नकल कैसे उतारेंगे, अपनी नजर कैसे उतारेंगे, वो काले कुत्ते को खाना डालना होता है. So even we have to work really hard. We have to sensitize people, as you all rightly said. I thank you all for joining this discussion, and everybody has put forward valuable solutions, and we have started the discussions thanks to Avinash, and hopefully we will have some good result. I thank you all for joining me in this discussion. Listeners, you can listen this tomorrow as well from 4 onwards, and you can listen it on YouTube as well. Thank you so much everybody for joining me in this discussion, and listeners for listening. Thank you so much. And the next show is ready.
Thank you, Danish. Thank you.
Next show is ready.
Thank you.
And be part
Thank
of
you.
next show if you want.
I would like to, I would like to, at the end, I would like to say, thanks to Radio Udaan for taking this up, because it's a serious issue, and hopefully this will be taken up by other media groups also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.